Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hello, everyone. It's the Bo and Joe Show live. We've been on a long hiatus. If you don't remember, I am Joe. I'm here with my co-star Bodine. Hi, Bodine. How are you? And happy, Independence Day has become a controversial topic, but I'll say it. Happy Independence Day. I'm proud to, be from this country. It's not perfect, of course, and we have a lot of work to do, but it's something to, in my opinion, something to celebrate, and certainly give some props to the people who have fought for our freedom. So I'm going to shout that out there, but I'll throw it to you. How are you?
Well, happy Independence Day to you and 4th of July. We're all in the same. Yeah, we're back and better than ever with a little hiatus here and there. I did a 30-minute show last week, if I remember correctly, because every day is like Groundhog's Day to me. First thing I want to do is send a shout out to my Irish twin who's under the weather. Allergies are absolutely knocking her down. So if she has one eye open as she took her allergy medicine and she's watching the show, much appreciated, Irish twin, much appreciated. And but yeah, life is busy, preparing to live the dream. And trying to catch up with you, superstar.
Well, I'm back. I had a long month of, I had, 2 graduations. My son graduated from high school. My youngest son graduated from 8th grade. My middle son had his confirmation. We were partying all month long. Then I threw my birthday in at the end. I needed a break. But so here we are. I'm back. I'm back again. I'm back and back on track. And we have a lot. I think we're going to revise a few things and revamp, and we're going to come back stronger going into the NFL season. I'm already ready.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to the NFL season too. You missed a few of our loyal fans wishing you a happy birthday last week when you were out having dinner. Your ears should have been burning because people were definitely missing TB12 Incorporated. So, so last week we just did a 30-minute quick overview of things that we hadn't had a chance to talk about. So, but yeah, let's get started.
Well,
what's on your mind?
Well, before we get started, I have big news for the network. The Bo and Joe Show is live right now on the Amazon Fire Stick. So, we are live on Amazon, and the network has its own. We're available on the app, Amazon app as well. We have our own app, and we're going to announce that soon. But if you want to check us out on Amazon, any of our shows are available on that. And I'm going to give Tim Fielder a shout out on the sidelines. He was the developer and a very integral part of getting us launched on that platform. So thank you and congratulations to you, Tim. That's a huge accomplishment, and we really appreciate your efforts there. I also want to say hello to Mr. Sanders. He's in. He didn't even need me to put it in the Bo and Joe Show group. I haven't gotten to that. So congratulations to you, Mr. Sanders. You're technologically savvy, and we're in the month of July, your birthday month. And Tim, there's Tim. And I also want to say hi to Frank. Hi, Frank. Poor NHL Russian players. I'm going to let Bo cover that. I'm not sure what you're talking to. I'm behind the 8 ball. I thought it was Tuesday night, so I'm not as prepared as I usually am. so that's everything that's on my mind. What's on your mind?
Well, shout out to the good news. Those guys better get me under contract soon. I mean, they're doing good stuff. I want to be a part of this. What's wrong, guys? Let's go. Yeah, I only have a little bit of knowledge on the Russian players. I think what's happening, if I remember correctly, you might want to Google it. Russian players are catching a hard time because of, what their country is doing to Ukraine. And Russian players in all sports are having a hard time. So I'm not sure how that played into the NHL. Was that the NHL question that
Yeah.
he posed? Yeah.
So,
I don't think the NHL had an issue during the season. Now the season's over, right? The Colorado Avalanche won. But I'm not up to date on what's going on. So, but if you're gonna check that out, if you're gonna research that, I'll start with the big movement and supposed movement in the college ranks, right? College conferences, Big Ten. There's a lot of activity happening in the Big Ten. Well, Big 12. They're trying to add USC, UCLA from the Pac-12. And I had a conversation, could have been with my dad and could have been with other guys. The way I see it, right now we have the Power 5 conferences. I think what's happening is they're trying to, the conference commissioners and probably the networks want it to be a Power 4 conference, right? You have 8 teams in the playoffs. If you have 4 conferences, it's easy to have the top 2 teams go to the playoffs. It's still difficult to determine which team in that 5th conference gets an opportunity to get into the playoffs. So I think what's happening is they're trying to really maneuver and mold a Power 4 conference. That's got to be the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, which will grow, and I'm assuming it will be the Pac conference would grow. So you would have 4 conferences. Now that leaves the biggest question: what in the world is Notre Dame going to do? Because Notre Dame is independent; they're not in a conference because they have a $10 million a year contract with NBC. But they've got to get into a conference, I'm thinking, in the next 2 to 3 years. And people might have said that 2 or 3 years ago. So this year might be the year they need to make a decision because they're going to get left behind. If you're the only major school that's independent and you're not one of the Power 4 or 5 conference teams, how are you going to make it to the playoffs if you lose 1 game? That means they would have to literally go undefeated and play the best teams in that Power 4 or 5 conference. Well, if there's a Power 4 conference, you can maybe lose 1 game, right? Maybe 2. Because if the top team is 10-1, the second best team is 10-1 or 9-2, okay, they still get to go because they're the top 2 teams in that conference. So there's a lot of changes are about to happen. So, and you I mean, how much do you know about conferences? Not much.
I know a little bit,
Okay.
not a ton. I'm learning, and I know much more, of course, than I used to.
So you know about the SEC, which is Alabama and those teams. The ACC is Duke, North Carolina, Big Ten, Ohio State, Penn State, those schools, Maryland. And then the teams in the Pac conference would be Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington, those type of teams, Stanford. So, but there's another conference, and I'm forgetting. I have no idea. I'm brain dead right now. So it's probably a Midwest conference, like a Texas, Oklahoma. But those teams are moving as well. So I think what they're doing is consolidating into a Power 4 conference. So 2 teams in each conference, the top 2 teams, will go to the playoffs. That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
so we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. So Frank gave me a little bit of background, and I read about it, and really the stories really much more horrific than I thought it would be. So Frank is saying the Russian players are being told that they have to serve time in the military. A few of them went back, and one of them was sent back to Siberia under arrest. The New York Islanders, the goaltender went to Russia and may not be able to enter the United States to play. And according to Andrew, and I'm going to butcher that name, Zadarnowski via Sports Express, Wild F. Kirill has returned to the United States after his name is linked to fraudulent military IDs being sold to players. And he's now considered a wanted man in Russia. And this is from the recent arrest of the Flyers goaltender Ivan Fedotov. And I'm reading on the sidelines, the New York Rangers goaltender Igor I'm not going to know his name, will spend the summer in the U.S. to prepare for the 2022-23 season rather than go to off-season in Russia, of course, because I'm sure he doesn't want to serve in the military. Any Russian man aged 18 to 27 are required to serve at least 1 year in the military, regardless of their status as a professional athlete.
All Putin's doing.
Yep.
It's all his doing. And it doesn't, again, I'm sure what's happening with Brittany Griner is part of the equation, right? So,
yes.
It's a mess, but Putin caused it.
And it's more than a mess. I mean, we say it's a mess, but it's really a tragedy. It's a tragedy. He's forcing young people to fight, regardless of which goes against their ethical beliefs. I'm sure some people, especially those who have been exposed and are out of the country and see the scope, if you're sheltered within the country, you probably, you may have allegiance to Russia. He's the propaganda that he's spun is you may not know the full story if you're a man in that country. But if you're outside and you can see the scope of what's happening, I'm sure these players, if they are moral and ethical people, they don't want to be at war with innocent Ukrainians over really nothing, right? I mean, it's out of greed and territory and ego. That's all it is. You're not fighting for a cause. There's no legitimate, and of course, this is my opinion, but I believe the majority of the world supports my opinion, and I know you believe that as well. But it's really, the scope of it is you're destroying lives. It's such a crime against humanity.
And you hit a point, a correct point. Those Russian players who've been in America for a long time, because they've been playing here since they were 20, 21, 22, they understand what freedom is like. They understand what it's like to play in Canada and visit Canada and be in Canada, right? And follow the media. So they know exactly what's going on. So when they go back home, they can tell the people, their family and friends, what's really truly happening. So again, I'm guessing, but Putin doesn't want them sharing their stories of the truth. And this is a way to get them to fall in line. So it is tragic. But that would be my word for mess. It's tragic.
And Frank is saying he's just bringing the situation to light. And thanks, we appreciate it, Frank, because actually I've been out of the loop really in some respects, and I hadn't heard that. But it really speaks to the power of the media in our show, any show that really brings light to these stories. So it's
free press, baby. That's what free press is all about.
Yep.
Right now, we are part of the press. You are part of the press.
Well, did I tell you I have a press pass? So I'm in. I now have a press pass. I'm
really? Where'd you get that press pass from? Oh, you don't want to tell me.
I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you online.
No, you don't have to.
All right.
No, you don't have to,
It's
because
okay.
I mean, I know if you,
Okay.
it's easy to
So,
get one. It's easy to get one. I mean, if you know how to do it, you can get one. Remember, I've been a member of the Delaware County Press Club since 2006. So
all right, so we're in. We're legitimate. Why? Let's get into a press conference. What's the next big press conference? We should crash it.
that'll be fun.
So
Yeah, we'll be like the
okay,
Jimmy Kimmel show, right? You know what Jimmy Kimmel does? He sends his what's his name, or Guero, or what's
yeah,
his
isn't it Guillermo?
sidekick,
Yeah, Guillermo, or I
Glamo.
forgot his name.
Glamo or something
Yeah.
like that. And it sends him the Indian, sends him to the NBA Finals and NFL Super Bowl. Oh yeah, he does that. Yeah, we could have a show like that
Perfect.
where we
So,
just show up.
You brought Brittany Griner's name up. Let's talk about her for a second. That's another tragedy. I mean, the U.S. is now saying, U.S.
I'm
is now
still
saying,
here.
I got you shook, and I got you, shook there.
Yeah,
talking
me
about
all
Brit-
shook up.
So the U.S. has now come out, and this happened about I'd say about a month ago, that they now agree that she's been wrongfully detained. Her trial started this week. She hand wrote a letter to the president. He did respond today, and said that it is on the forefront of his mind. Of course, we know it's a political ploy. Her arrest was a political ploy to broker a trade. And the hope is we do have a terrorist in that we are detaining
In custody. Yeah.
in custody, and
An arms dealer, if I remember correctly.
And so the trade is, there are 2 other Americans there. It's not just Brittany Griner. There are 3 Americans in total who are being wrongfully detained. And the hope is that, a trade will be brokered to bring those 3 individuals home. I mean, at this point, I hope that happens. I hate to let someone go, but, if we have the power to bring those 3 individuals home, and this person's going to be sitting in jail for 10 more years, I think that 10 years it's dicey, but because then we set ourselves up to, I get it. We're not supposed to, in many respects, barter for people's lives, but at the same time, I think they should. I think the deal should be made, in my opinion. Instead of squandering these lives of these 3 innocent people.
Well, that's what the diplomats are for, and that's what they get paid for, and that's what their expertise is. So the goal for them should be to make something happen. And from this point forward, I'm pretty sure most Americans know not to travel to Russia and compete in sports again. So, or any country similar to Russia. So there are plenty of other countries to go play sports in that you won't have to sacrifice your freedom. So,
and it's really sad, because Brittany had been playing there in the off season for years. It's not just she just wandered over there. I mean, and she was actually detained. I think most people are under the misconception that she was detained after the war. She was detained in March. It just came to light. So she had already been in custody.
It was planned. It was planned.
Exactly, because she had played there. So she had played there prior to any of this, prior to the war, the origination of the war. But I'm sure the war, exactly what you said, it was all part of the grand plan, and it's unfortunate. Brittany's wife is now hopeful. She's and I think that we're all hopeful, and hopefully that something will come of it. But regardless of what happens, that's a traumatizing experience, and it changes someone's life. I mean, her life is going to be changed regardless of the outcome, even if she's released tomorrow. And it's truly unfortunate.
Absolutely. I know what it's like. I've been in jail. I've sat in a jail cell. It's not fun. Even for a couple of hours, it's not fun. So
well, that's a story we want to hear.
I wrote about it. It's in my book.
Right, but not everybody read the book, is what I'm saying.
Go
Well,
out and get the
all
book,
right,
ladies
so-
and gentlemen. Go out and get the book, ladies and gentlemen, and we can talk about it. Absolutely. We can talk about anything that's in the book.
All right.
It is absolutely compelling, believe me.
All right, so folks, I'm going to encourage you to read this story. Then come. It is an amusing story, and it's one of the best parts. Not the best parts, but it's a good part of Bodine's book. And it certainly speaks to it speaks to racial inequities in this country for sure. But Frank is saying that all of the Russian players, athletes should file for asylum. And I don't disagree with that. I think they should as well. But, again, it's just helping a small population in some form,
And you know why that's and that's a difficult decision, because Putin's the type of guy that they'll take it out on their family members.
Right. Yep.
That's the kind of guy he is. So it's a shame. It really is a shame.
Yep. So and you can't see your family again.
Yeah.
So.
Unless they come over here, but they're going to have spies following them everywhere to try to catch them from leaving the country.
I'm sure that many Russian people would love to leave the country. Well,
absolutely,
and they can't, because they're being held prisoner as well.
Yep.
And who would accept them? They're the Russian population now is being spurned all over the world. If you're Russian, nobody wants you. It's unfortunate. I mean, think about here where we're cutting off all trade. We don't sell Russian vodka. We don't. There's a trade embargo, and people are probably wrongfully being targeted. There are probably many of Russian descent, but we see that in every altercation after 9/11. The Muslim people were ostracized and terrorized. The Asian people after the COVID outbreak, when it's unfortunate, and it really is, and that's something that we in this country need to address as well. I mean, we cannot blame and stereotype people for the tragedies and occurrences that happen in their nation or that are perpetrated by their leaders. I mean, it's so unfair.
Yeah, those people are ignorant. They're ignorant. They don't have a clue, and they have issues. And I agree, absolutely, no doubt about it.
All right. Well, let's move on from that. So I'm just reading the headlines I did. So the Browns traded Baker Mayfield to the Panthers.
Absolutely.
So that's a huge story.
He was in purgatory for a while. Remember when at the end of the season we're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to him? And then the word started, floating around that they were going after Watson, and then they ended up getting Watson, regardless of what his issues are, right? Which is a slap in Baker's face, right? So, yeah, he's got a new opportunity, and I don't know how true that opportunity is going to be, but we all know you can't have a successful season unless you have two quarterbacks. Really, two quarterbacks, because if the starter gets hurt, you need that backup to come in and be the starter. So you really need two quarterbacks. In today's league, you really do. And if they're good friends, it can work. But if they're selfish and competitive, like Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who has the same attitude, or at least we think he has the same attitude that Brett Favre bestowed upon him, two wrongs don't make a right. But yeah, you unless you have Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, really, there's about 10 quarterbacks in this league. You don't need a backup quarterback because those guys are consistent. They come to play. They're available, right? Russell, who's now in Denver, the Buffalo quarterback, the Chargers quarterback, the Raiders quarterback. I mean, there's at least 10 quarterbacks that are available because they play every Sunday. So the rest of the league, if you don't have a backup quarterback, your season's done.
Well, I find the backstory interesting that Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield competed for the number 1 draft pick in 2018. Now they're competing to be the starting quarterback of the Panthers. So I wonder if they are friends or are really, if they're to have a bitter rivalry. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that part of the story, or if you do, that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Where Aaron Donald personality doesn't come off. Remember, he started in New York, and that was a bad spot for him. He doesn't come across as a guy that is that petty. Baker comes off as a guy that's petty, right?
Right.
Right. So
Yes,
it's kind of in his makeup.
Yeah, you only need one guy, one person to cause friction in a relationship. You know how that goes.
Yeah. So it's going to be up to Baker to come in and show that he's a stand-up guy, that he's a team player, and go from there, because they have a good running back who has to stay healthy. It doesn't take much for your season to go downhill, just like it doesn't take much to win a couple of games in a row and get on a roll. So, that's what makes the season interesting. So, you're preaching to the choir here. I just enjoyed the USFL, right? Wow. And shout out to my dad, who was all on the Birmingham Stallions, and my Philadelphia Stars had a shot, and then they fell apart. Quarterback got hurt. 3 minutes left in the game. It was over. So, but we're the second best team in the league.
All right. Well, I'll say I was not into the USFL. It's bad timing for me. But I would never imagine this coming out of my mouth before, but I am actually looking forward to the NFL season. I miss talking about it. I miss seeing Tom. Oh, here's the big news since we were last on. Rob Gronkowski is not joining Tom back in Tampa Bay. He's retiring. He's officially retiring. So, that was. I'll miss him. John Gonzalez. Hi, John. Welcome to the show. Baker for a 5th round pick is worth the gamble.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they basically they gave Baker away. They're paying $10 million of his 15 to $17 million contract next year. So they're paying 10 million of it. The Panthers are paying 5, and the other 2 and some changes in incentives. So, I mean, let's see what happens. They both had to do something because it was going to be a mess if they didn't. And so you don't want a quarterback in that locker room, regardless of what happens to Watson. You don't want that quarterback in that room knowing that when Watson comes back, either at the half point of the year or next year, if he gets suspended the whole year, that quarterback's going to be gone. You don't want that. So that's just bad chemistry. So, we'll see what happens. What were we talking about? Were we talking about USFL? Oh, no, we're talking about the NFL. Gronkowski. Remember what I taught you, superstar? Yes. Until he hands his paperwork in, he's not retired.
True.
He can say it all day long. Until he hands that paperwork in, he's not retired.
All right, you're right.
Tom Brady fooled everybody with that last year, right?
Everybody but you.
Everybody but me.
You were right. You're right about that.
Yep.
So I know we are not typically somebody to speak about baseball, but I don't know if you've been following it at all. The Yankees are just crushing the AL East. I do want to shout that out for a minute. They're up to 58 wins. 58 wins, 23 losses. The Red Sox are up 45 wins. I mean, that's a big deficit, 13 games. I mean, it can be overcome, but that's huge. And of course, in the playoffs. So I think that's impressive to shout out. And the Mets are ahead in the NL East. So that's going to be interesting. The Subway Series is coming up this month too. I believe it's July 26th, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be pretty interesting. Yeah, so there's a lot of good happenings in the NFL, in the MLB. I know you and I aren't typically, we're not entirely up to date. I don't know if anybody on the sidelines is, but
well, the best player in Major League Baseball, to me, my opinion, since it's our show, is the pitcher. How do you pronounce his name? Hoshani.
No, yeah, Osani.
He's,
Right? Oshani.
Osani. He's a hitter and a pitcher. He's like Babe Ruth. He's both sides. He can play. He can crush a baseball, and he can throw people out. So I think he's the best overall player in the league right now. But yeah, the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, there's a lot of good baseball. Again, I don't really pay close attention until playoffs, but yeah, there's some good baseball happening out there.
Yeah, Ohtani. Shoshai Ohtani. Yeah, and I think he's a little bit of a character too.
Oh, he's got a great personality. Absolutely.
I mean, he has language barrier. He can't speak English fluently, but
he's got a personality, and he's a big boy. It's not like he's a little dude. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's probably like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. He's a big boy. He can play some baseball.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. If he, I think last year he called out his teammates because he felt as if they weren't, giving 100%. I don't know if you remember that from the end of last season, but yeah, he's a worker. He's all about winning. He doesn't want to come in second, and I forget where the A's are. I think they're up to there too, right? I mean, in their standings.
They got a shot. Everybody, I mean, unless you're at the bottom of the bucket, everybody's got a shot, because you can get on a winning streak, and the teams that are in first place can just start losing it. Remember, in baseball, they play so many games, teams can literally lose 5-10 games in a row. I mean, that just happens, right? So it's never over in baseball until it's, if you're within 5 games, you're really not out of it. Maybe even 10 games, you're not out of it. Sure. It depends on what division and conference you're in, or division you're in. So, but again, I don't follow it closely, but you're really never out of it, because they play so many games.
I know. So the Braves are coming on only 2.5 behind the Mets. Yeah. I mean, that league is tight. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I know.
And the Phillies can't be that far behind. They started winning after they got rid of Joe Girardi, or was it Boone? Oh, who did they get rid of? They got rid of their coach. And they immediately started winning. So,
and I think too, I mean, the Mets are, if the Yankees stay as hot as they are right now, it's going to be tough for the Mets to beat them, and that's going to push them back. So,
but that Subway Series is going to be, they have to put that on TV. They have to put that on TV.
So so that could shake them up, that for sure. Philadelphia is 5 behind in the wild card. So we'll see.
Okay, yeah, we'll see. But again, what is it? The All-Star weekend next week, something like that. It's definitely this month, right?
Yeah, let me see.
It's probably I would bet a dime if I could find one. It's next week. Home run derby and a All-Star game and all that stuff. It's got to be next week. So.
Yeah, Tuesday, July 19th.
Yeah.
So Major League
2 weeks, right?
Yep.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yep.
So that'll be interesting.
Yep.
All right. So what else do we have? What are we covered a lot.
On my list, on my first sheet, we've got NBA basketball. The chaos is happening in NBA basketball with KD. Does he really want to leave, or is he saying he wants to leave in order to get Kyrie out the door, and then once Kyrie's out the door, he'll stay? Who knows? But if you lose them both, Brooklyn is going to be terrible. Nobody wants to play with Kyrie. The only one I think wants to play with Kyrie is LeBron.
Yeah,
so. It's
I don't know. It's, we have one, it speaks to anything. We have one person who's toxic and what do you do? I mean, it's just really pervasive. Again, all of these sports, these teams, it's like a relationship, right? I mean, they need some counseling. Maybe they need to bring in a family counselor. I don't know, but I don't know. What do you think? I
mean,
don't know.
again, it can't be everybody else. It has to be the person who I've identified as Kyrie. He's a great talent. He's probably the best pure point guard in the league. But he's played for Boston, Cleveland, Brooklyn. Who else has he played for? I forget. That's too. I mean, come on. He should be a franchise player. Now you might say, well, LeBron's a franchise player and he's moved around. Yeah, he's moved around and won every time he went somewhere. There's a difference between moving around and don't win. Kyrie won one when he was with LeBron, but he hasn't won. He didn't win in Boston, and he didn't win in Brooklyn. So it's got to be Kyrie. And we know COVID brought a lot out we found out a lot about people during COVID, right? We found out a lot about people in our families, our friends, our colleagues, our classmates. It revealed a lot about people, and it revealed what everybody had an idea about Kyrie. He thinks the world is flat.
Right. Yeah. And I think we found out about a lot of people's morality, right? I mean, we had people, who were dishonest and
the Joker, the tennis player, the Joker, right?
Yes. It was disappointing in so many respects. I mean, and we're talking about Kyrie. I believe I read this week that now there's potential to trade Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving, right? The LA Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets doing a swap. But do you want to spread that around? We're going to let him taint every team in the NBA. I mean, that's the potential. I mean, when does it finally come to the point where we just say these players aren't worth keeping on the roster? I mean, that's sad to say, but he's such a distraction, and he doesn't even play to his full potential when he does play. In my opinion, he's too preoccupied with himself.
Well, most general managers probably think that their team is the one that he could turn it around. But you can't bypass that type of talent. I mean, he really is the best pure point guard in the league. No, hands down, pure point guard, he's the best. Steph Curry is the best overall point guard because of his shooting ability and dribbling and getting to the basket to score and being a great teammate and team player. But Kyrie is the best pure point guard. So, and so there are teams out there who will take him, right? They will take him because if he straightens up and flies right onto their watch, then that helps them win games. And the goal is to win games. So people will take that chance. That's what general managers have to do. That's why they get paid. Take that chance.
I guess it reminds me though of the relationship, and because I'm a woman, we always, in my younger years, all the women always thought they were going to be the one to change the guy, and nobody ever changed them. So, people can only change themselves, but I don't know.
Well, here's a human interest story talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. The San Jose Sharks hockey team, NHL, just hired their first African-American general manager.
That's huge.
He's the first African-American general manager in the entire league ever.
Wow.
So NHL is stepping up. But this guy comes from a pedigree of general managers. His dad, Bobby Greer, was a executive for the Patriots, and then his brother is the general manager of the Miami Dolphins. So he's kind of a legacy kid. It's in the blood. It's in the family. So kudos to him.
Yeah, congratulations. John is, saying we're going to go back to the NBA for a second. The Nets had the right formula. Kenny Atkinson as the head coach, Chris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen. They got rid of them for a quick fix.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Well.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Well, this is trading season. If they're talking about Rudy Gobert already got traded to Minnesota, so that was the first domino to fall. Someone was saying if Kevin Garnett goes to the Phoenix Suns will more than likely trade Bridges and the center to Brooklyn. If that happens, then Brooklyn that would be a good trade because it's better than what you got, right? So you get rid of Kyrie, you get rid of KD, you get a bunch of picks, and you use those picks to build a team. Because you can win with the second best defensive player in the league, Bridges. You've got a center who can play, who's healthy, and you have another number of players there that you got Ben Simmons. Hopefully they're working on Ben Simmons. So it won't like they'll be in the dumpster. Who was that? Was that Crispy Bacon?
No, it was me.
It was you.
I was clicking on a story about Tiger Woods, and I don't know if you read that today, that he wants one more shot. He wants another shot at the big time, at the high level. He wants another run, and I hope he's successful. So.
My God, who is that popping up on the screen? What is that under your nose, Sarge? What is that under your nose?
I thought you were like trying to shield your eyes from the glare and everything, I'm just trying something out. Got a little friend attached to the lips. It's cold up here in the Pacific Northwest. I gotta keep warm somewhere or another.
I hear you, brother. How you doing?
I am doing good. How are you, Joe? And how are you, Bo?
We're hanging in there. We're happy to be back. We've been out of the spotlight for a while. We're jumping back in, and we're enjoying ourselves. How's it going? How's it going with you?
Oh, it's been crazy. I'm just getting ready for a trip to Montana tomorrow. But you know what? My Panthers made a big trade. I think they won in that trade, getting Baker Mayfield, even though he's above average quarterback. My Mariners they're doing okay. I mean, I'm not expecting playoffs, but they are second in the AL West when they were almost at the bottom earlier. So everything's going good.
Well, we talked about the Baker Mayfield trade already, but you think that's a good trade? You think that's a good deal? You don't like the quarterback you have now, or do you think you need two quarterbacks in order to have a chance at a winning season? Because once your starter goes down, if you don't have a good backup, your season's done.
That is true. That is true. But I do think this was a steal for the Carolina Panthers because they only gave up a conditional fifth round pick with that one. They're paying $4.8 million on the contract, as the Browns are paying over $10.8 million on that contract, on that same contract right there. This actually gives the Panthers an above average quarterback since Cam Newton when he won that MVP season in 2015 with that one. I don't see Darnold being there long term, but I hope this gives time to the backup PJ Walker, who was the MVP of the XFL when it came back on. Yep. I hope that gives him time to bloom because I think he can have a big future for the Carolina Panthers or with any team.
Yeah, I think PJ Walker's played at Temple. So, yeah, he's a good quarterback. He just needed a little bit more time to develop. Yep. And he did do a good job like the first couple of games last year, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, he needs a little more time.
He threw a lot of interceptions. I get that. But he's coming off the bench playing garbage time
Yeah,
and
he was
go
trying
for
to do too much. Yeah, that's a human nature. You try to do too much. Yep,
Exactly.
yep, absolutely. But so now we're on the Tiger Woods. Yes, I had that written down. Tiger Woods is right now he's playing in some small tournament over in Ireland, but he's going to make his way over to St. Andrews, and he wants to compete. He wants to try to win. And you know, he only gets into tournaments if he feels he has a chance to win. So I guess he's feeling better because he missed the U.S. Open Father's Day weekend. So yeah, is that this weekend? That's St. Andrews. If that's this weekend, I'll be watching. Yep. So I'll be watching if it's this weekend. Is that
I'll
what
watch some of it. I don't dedicate the whole weekend to it, but I will. I do enjoy watching Tiger play, and I hope he does well for sure.
Well, the weather is different over there than it is here. So, you know, you have to have game in order to compete in that weather. You have to be able to make shots. It's not all about hitting the ball straight. You got to hit it left to right, right to left. You got to hit it low under the wind. You got to know which clubs to pull. And Tiger knows that. He has that kind of game, right? He has the golf game. So he can compete in that type of environment. And with a lot of the guys playing in that Saudi tour, that takes a lot of the competition out. So that gives him an opportunity to step, you know, to get on the leaderboard. I mean, I think still the top 15 players are still playing in the PGA on the PGA Tour, but you know, there's a lot of guys that left. You know, so and that's a big mess, right? That Live Tour versus the PGA, that's a big, and they're getting personal too. They're shooting personal shots. There's shots being fired across the bow. Is that the right term, Sarge? Shots across the bow. I mean, these guys it's getting personal. They need to take a step back, right? I've been talking for the last couple of weeks. We've got to take the bad behavior out of sports because these kids are seeing it. It's a bad look. These kids are learning from the adults, and they're supposed to be the adults in the room, right? But these guys it's getting personal.
Well, I think part of the controversy is, you know, I don't know if you read this. I mean, there's so much criticism. The Live participants received a letter from the 9/11 Families United, a coalition of families and survivors of the September 11th attacks. I mean, it is personal for so many people, and it feels as if they're selling out and it's blood money, I think, to many Americans. And I see that perspective. You know, it really is. We haven't had, you know, the Saudi Arabian government has been intimately involved with numerous attacks against citizens on U.S. soil and our, you know, civilians. So I think it's almost impossible for it not to be personal. And then these players are taking jabs at one another.
Yeah.
You know, so it's pervasive and offensive on many levels, and I see it. I think it's greed. Greed is prompting it. I understand the logistics of it, and if it was in a different arena, I would support it because I believe that all players should be paid equitably. I get that in some respects, but it doesn't sit well with me. The whole arrangement.
It's absolutely a complicated, personal, on multiple levels issue, and so I'm glad I'm not the commissioner of the PGA to have to make that decision and get involved in that because again, it's getting ugly. And the way I look at it is they're hurting all of the goodwill golf has built over the years in terms of community involvement and growth within the minority community, people of color, kids, women, I mean, girls, you know, all of that goodwill and all of those good things they've done. You know, you got to be, what did Michelle Obama say? When people go low, you go high. I mean, really, you're hurting your reputation when you start shooting, taking personal shots at people. So, you know, but it's difficult.
Yeah, and golf has always been, at least from my perspective, it has an elitist perception, right? And so now we're getting down into the trenches. You're not this super elite, mature group. You have some people who are willing to get, and there have been instances, of course, throughout the years that, but it has had a different type of reputation than, let's say, the NFL. But now, it's getting down and dirty. So it's really tainting the sport in many ways.
Absolutely.
You got to admit, it's kind of getting golf on the map as well at the same time. Because, pretty much if you think of golf, you think it's a kind of a boring sport and so forth. But since we got this going on, it's kind of like being who's the best of the best. It reminds me of Happy Gilmore a lot. I don't know. I don't know why, because they're chirping at each other. Happy Gilmore chirped at people. I mean, it's like a Happy Gilmore type scenario, but it's a very tough issue because there's other sports that do have have events in that country, in Saudi Arabia, and I mean, it's a hard decision. It's a hard thing to process, and I'm still processing that whole entire scenario.
Well, how about you process this? Golf is not boring. Speak for yourself, because I'm a golfer. Where's my golf club? If I had a golf club next to me, I'd show it in front of you, but I don't have one right in front of me. Oh, I know what I got. I got my I got my my little golf gift from when I participated in an event and won. See, I got all the props, brother.
All right, well, it's all in the hips. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hips, hamstrings, and the legs. Once your legs go, it's over.
It is.
It is over. Anything else?
If anyone didn't know, that was a Happy Gilmore reference.
Go ahead, Joe.
Say what else is on your list? If you don't have anything else, we can bump it to Tim, see what's on his list.
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm done.
You got anything you want to talk about? You want to talk about the app a little bit?
Oh yeah, so Coast to Coast, we finally have a live app. Right now it is on Fire TV, which is an Amazon device. If you have a Fire Stick or a Fire TV device, this type in Coast to Coast, and that 2 is the number 2. Entertainment Network. You bring it up, you'll get to watch live shows, and also you can watch previous shows as well. And you know what? And if you guys do watch it, hit us up, see what we can do better with it, and so forth, and we'll continue to grow that way.
Awesome. Good job, Tim, Sarge. Good job.
Yep, it's a great development for the network. We're really proud of it. We're proud of Tim, and we love being on TV. We're expanding. We're from the internet, now we're on TV. Pretty soon we'll be. Let's go to the runway, and now Bodine and we have our press credentials. We're going places.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right, so it's 9:55. We want to wrap it up, but we have to look forward to going into the next week. What's on tap for? So we'll have, we can talk about the golf that's going to occur next weekend on next week's show. What else is on the horizon? We'll see what unfolds. I mean, we're kind of in between sports. I mean, there's a lot of sports going on, but it's also, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on, but there's a lot not going on. We kind of have to search around for some stories. It's not like we're inundated with the NFL, the USFL's wrapped up. So we got to play it by ear.
Well, right now, the NFL teams are in camp. The NFL draft picks are, getting signed and getting into camp because remember, there's only 3 preseason games, or is it 2? No, 3. They took 1 away and added an extra game during the season. So there's going to be a important focus on preseason. And so next thing you know, it'll be the start of the season. Next week, it starts birthday week for my Irish twins' birthday is next Friday, and then mine's on the 17th. So next Wednesday show should be a nice show.
All right, be a birthday
Well,
celebration.
We'll plan something over the weekend.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah, well, I'm not going out to dinner like you, so got to make the best of it.
All right, well, you can eat on air. That'll make you feel special. Bring your dinner right on air. What are you having? Some boiled peanuts? Bring those on.
I only do that in the wintertime. Not in the summer.
All right, well, what's the summer specialty? What's your go-to?
Nothing special right now. I'm still preparing to live the dream. My favorite drink in the summer is the Long Beach iced tea. That's with cranberry versus with Coca-Cola. But I haven't had one of those in a long time. So, but that'll change. It's going to change.
I'll have to try that. I like the Long Island iced tea. I didn't realize there was a Long Beach version. I prefer cranberry to Coke, so I'm going to give that a shot.
Yep. Long Beach is what I would do in the winter, and then Long Island is what I do in the winter, and Long Beach I would do in the summer. But that's bringing back memories.
All right. Well, we should make it a Sanders family birthday celebration. Mr. Sanders is coming up on the 29th, and I won't be here on the 29th. I'm going on a cruise for my father's birthday. So, so we should do it preemptively, but we should do it ahead of time. We can call it the Summer Sanders Spectacular next Wednesday night. The Sanders Summer Spectacular.
There we go. You're going to have to create a flyer and get it to me early so I can post it. Absolutely.
All right. So gather up the whole Sanders clan. Mr. Sanders is saying goodnight already, but I hope he heard me. Tomorrow, next Wednesday, we're planning on the birthday shout outs.
And let's try to get a flyer for that new Fire TV deal so we can start promoting that as well.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, perfect. So, of course, we never want to. So, Tim, you have any final closing thoughts? Thanks for popping on and being our special guest. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I'm just glad that you guys had time for me to pop on and explain about the app a little bit. But don't forget about in 2 weeks, it's the MLB All-Star Game. So definitely cast your votes. And, I love to watch the Home Run Derby. And next year it's in Seattle. So I'm going to try to get tickets to that one. And so forth. And also in September, watch for a live Four Bros with J-Mac and myself. We'll be live together in September. So we might bring down the house. So
live together where?
Oh, up here. We have big plans. We have plans.
Right.
We're going to take over the world.
There we go.
That's good to know. And
nice shiny haircut. Looking good, bro. You join the crowd.
Learn from the best.
There you go, brother. There you go.
All right, so maybe September will be our live series. Bodine, I may have to come down to Philadelphia and we can do a live show as well. Can't let the Four Bros top us.
Here we go. Absolutely not.
We'll have to take over the East Coast. It could be an East Coast versus West Coast scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what it might have to be there.
And remember, on the East Coast, we're better than you on the West Coast.
That's right.
That's right.
So I think that'll have to be something we'll have to work on for September.
I gotta say, you guys have Wawa, which was my favorite thing when I was.
Don't you love it? Don't you love it?
I love it.
And of course, let me thank. We had Mr. Sanders here tonight, John Gonzalez, Frank Jersio. Thank you all. And Justin didn't tune in tonight. I miss Justin. And of course, as always, we want to thank the viewers who didn't pop on in the commentary, but I know you're there. And of course, our man behind the scenes, Chris P. Bacon. No show is complete without him. I'll give a shout out to Texas. Texas has my favorite star down there. So it's a Lone Star State, but Chris P. Bacon is one of our stars here. So, of course, we want to thank him as well.
Crispy bacon.
All right. So Chris, you can play us out. Thanks for another great show, everybody. And we will see you next week. We're back.